A common technique inside of Photoshop, especially in the print world, is to increase the size of your subject's eyes. Now, the idea behind this is if a subject has bigger eyes, they're more intriguing, they're more beautiful, who really knows? But you can also use this technique in a lot of other scenarios. Let's say, for example, you've taken a picture and either it be that they were born with different size eyes, or it looks like their eyes are different sizes in that particular picture. You can manipulate each eye independently if you need to. Not everybody has symmetrical eyes. In this case, the model's looking directly at the camera and the eyes look pretty symmetrical, so all we want to do is kind of bump them up in size. But if she was looking up at the camera at a different angle, we would be able to manipulate each eye independently and reposition them after we increase their size if necessary. With all that being said, let's just go ahead and take a look at how we can increase the size of the model's eyes to make the image a little bit more compelling. I'm working with a document called eyes.psd. Go ahead and open that. It's located in your resources folder. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come over and highlight the rectangular marquee selection tool. With that highlighted, you want to make a fairly generous selection around the subject's eyes. That looks pretty good. And what we want to do is we want to jump it up onto its own layer. So the keyboard shortcut for that is Command J. It would be Control J on Windows. You can now see if we turn off the background layer, we have the eyes isolated onto layer 1. So what we want to do now is we want to increase the size of the eyes. Now, you don't want to do something crazy. You don't want to increase them by 150%. Just a small increase will make a pretty dramatic difference in the overall photograph. So what I'd like you to do is highlight the free transform tool. The keyboard shortcut is Control T or Command T on the Macintosh. Or what you can do is go to the edit menu, and under the edit menu, you can choose free transform. Nevertheless, with the free transform tool selected in the options bar, make sure that you've linked both the width and the height. And what we want to do is we want to increase both of those to 105%, so they're just slightly larger. Go ahead and press Enter or Return on your keyboard to apply that transformation to the eyes. After doing that, you can turn on the visibility of the background layer, and you can see they're just slightly larger. You can see the original and now the increased eye size. What I'd like to do now is separate each eye out onto their own layers. And again, what that gives us the ability to do is reposition each eye if necessary. Like I said earlier, the model's looking directly at the camera, so there's really no need to position each eye independently. But if we wanted to, we would have that ability. And that is very important when the subject matter is not looking directly at the camera, maybe up at an angle, off to the left or to the right. It can make a big difference. So let's go ahead and separate out our eyes onto different layers. I'm going to turn off the background layer and turn on layer 1. Come over and choose the selection tool of your choice again and select the left eye. With the left eye selected, Command J or Control J to move that selection up onto its own layer. Then what I want you to do is come back over to layer 1 and highlight it and select the other eye. Once you select the right eye, in this case, move that to its own layer using the same keyboard shortcut Command J or Control J. Now, we no longer need layer 1, quite honestly, the layer that has both eyes, so we can trash that by dragging the layer to the trash icon in the Layers panel. So now, again, we're looking at our new eyes against the background. We want to position these eyes so they look like they're placed properly to the model's face. So the best way to do that really is to come over and highlight one layer. I'm going to go ahead and name these so I know what I'm working with. I'm going to call this right, and I'm going to call this left. Just by double-clicking on the actual layer name will give you the I-beam and blinking cursor. So in order for you to position them now, I'm going to come over and highlight the right layer. You want to select the Move tool. V is the keyboard shortcut. And it's kind of hard to see where the eye should be in relation to its original location. So what you can do is drag the opacity slider down a little bit, and now it's looking kind of blurry. You can kind of see where it would be. So you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to kind of nudge it along, and as you nudge it along, it'll kind of sharpen up a little bit. So the positioning of the right eye looks pretty good right there. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the left. I'm going to come up and highlight the left layer. I'm going to reduce the opacity down to somewhere around 50%, and using my arrow keys on the keyboard, I'm going to go ahead and move the eye until I have it positioned properly. Once you're happy with the location of the eyes, what we need to do is kind of get rid of these hard edges that we see. We just want to kind of bring the eyes into the background in a more transparent manner. So there we have our eyes. Let's go ahead and increase the opacity back up to 100%. And again, it is going to make the model look a little weird, but we want to go ahead and fix that. To fix that, what I recommend doing is grouping both of the layers. So with both left and right selected, you can select both by highlighting one, holding down the Shift key and selecting the other, then using the keyboard shortcut Command-G or Control-G on Windows to group it. Now what we want to do is add a layer mask, and we want to add a layer mask to hide everything, giving us the ability to kind of reveal the content that we want to reveal. So with Group 1 selected, hold down the Option key or the Alt key on Windows and click the Layer Mask button. What that does is it creates a layer mask that hides everything. Now what we can do is come over and choose a paintbrush, well, the paintbrush tool, with any size that you feel comfortable with. I'm going to drag this size slider down just a bit. The hardness of 100 should be fine. You can soften it up just a tad if you want. The opacity should be set to 100%, and you want to make sure that you're painting with a white color. Then what I want you to do is just go ahead and click and drag around the eye area, and as you do that, you'll notice you're bringing in or revealing the eye underneath that layer. So this eye looks a little bit bigger than this eye now, and we can see the shape of our mask inside the preview thumbnail of the layers panel. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this layer. Just going to click and drag to increase the size of the eyes. And you want to make sure that you don't go crazy. You want a nice soft transition between the new eyes and the older parts of the model's face. Not the older parts in terms of age. I should have said original parts. That's fine. So you know what I mean. You want to make sure that the new eyes blends in nicely with the background. So now we can take a look at the after and, of course, the before. So it's just the subtle change. If you just toggle back and forth between it, you're just increasing the size of the eyes ever so slightly. Again, giving the image a little bit more drama, making the image look a little bit nicer. And again, this is a technique that a lot of people are using now. Any print artwork that you see, go ahead and pick up an Us Weekly. Jennifer Aniston's eyes are not that big. No, they probably are. I don't know anything about Jennifer Aniston. But just to give you an idea, this is what they're doing. This creates a more professional looking portrait.